Thank you, Madam Speaker. Having been interrupted, I'll now start from the top. I think I will just reacquaint my friend across the way and the one person who applauded for her intervention with the fact that we are debating an amendment from the member for St. Albert Edmonton, an amendment that says the following. The House declined to give second reading to Bill C-65, an act to amend the Canada Elections Act, as the bill delays the next federal election so that more departing members of Parliament can collect taxpayer-funded pensions, a measure that is particularly offensive at a time when Canadians are struggling due to the NDP-Liberal government's inflation, carbon tax, and housing costs. So I am, of course, speaking, as I said, about the amendment. That would be not only related to the topic, but definitively the most germane thing that one could possibly talk about. That is the amendment that is presently before the House. And the amendment, of course, highlights how the efforts by the Liberals to cling to power by their fingernails by passing a bill to delay the election is particularly offensive to Canadians who would like to see the carbon tax end as soon as possible. Canadians know that the next election will be a carbon tax election. It will provide an opportunity for the Canadian people to make a decision about whether they approve of the NDP-Liberal plan to massively hike the carbon tax in the years ahead, or the Conservative plan to scrap the tax, to axe the tax in every region of the country and for good. That's the choice that Canadians will have in the next election. And a confident government would say, they're ready for that choice. They would say, let's have that debate. The member for Winnipeg North says he welcomes that debate. It seems that he has more courage than the leader of his party, because the leader of his party and the minister responsible for this bill have put forward a bill to delay that great clash of ideas that will occur in the next election. So if the member for Winnipeg North is ready for this conversation and is ready to allow his constituents to rule on this vital question, then I suggest he tell his Prime Minister, scrap Bill C-65, we're ready, let's have an election. I can tell you on this side of the House, we are ready. We want to let Canadians decide. Do they prefer the radical NDP-Liberal plan to hike the carbon tax, to quadruple the carbon tax, or do they prefer the common-sense Conservative plan to axe the tax everywhere and for good, Madam Speaker? I think Canadians will choose axe the tax, but in any event, we are ready for that debate. We are ready to submit ourselves to the judgment of the Canadian people. And instead, this government, rather than being prepared to submit to themselves, to the common sense judgment of the common people, they want to be able to delay the election, to hang on to their pensions for as long as possible, to hang on to power as long as possible, rather than letting the Canadian people decide. Madam Speaker, in this inevitable carbon tax election, they won't be able to delay it forever. So when the inevitable carbon tax election comes, Liberals and New Democrats will have to explain the following to the Canadian people: that the very purpose of a carbon tax is to increase costs. That is what even proponents of the carbon tax say it exists to do. The carbon tax exists to make driving your car more expensive, to make taking that family road trip more expensive. That family road trip that the Minister of Health thinks is going to burn the planet. Right? I think it was notable after that how various people on social media were able to find posts from the Prime Minister about family road trips he has taken. The Prime Minister doesn't just take family road trips. He travels much greater distances using more carbon-emitting options other than the simple family van. But it's another example of do as I say, not as I do. That apparently when everyday Canadians want to spend a few days seeing beautiful parts of our country, putting their kids in the car, traveling places, that the Minister of Health thinks that's going to burn the planet, Madam Speaker. This is the kind of do as I say, not as I do, radical extremism that we have come to expect from this radical NDP-Liberal coalition government.